If you're not selfish enough to tune into source energy, then you don't have anything really to give anyone. If you're not willing to be replenished, then you get depleted. And so, but if the word doesn't work, then use the spirit of the word. And so by selfish, we mean
yes,
willing to tune to self, willing to be my whole self, willing to be my whole aligned, powerful, focused, loving, giving, appreciative, helpful self, not sacrificial self, aligned self, powerful self, whole self. Feel the difference?
yes. But I am still in the state of that maybe intellectually understand, but sometimes I find myself that still difficult practicing it.
Well, here's the thing. The line is blurry. There isn't anything that Esther likes more than to be of help to someone, to be of value to someone. And she likes how it feels so much. So while on the one hand, she is helping someone repair their teeth because they can't do it otherwise, but it feels so good to her to do it. And so who gets to decide? Is that selfishness? Well, it is to Esther, because, oh man, did it feel good. And oh, wasn't it wonderful the way the universe lined it up? And wasn't it interesting how it occurred to her? And wasn't it interesting how easily it unfolded? And wasn't it wonderful how it turned out? And so, oh, the self that is Esther really had a good time in that and that and that and that. And she really doesn't like it very much when someone watching from the outside tries to assign a narrative to those kinds of things, because they misunderstand every time. In other words, you have to establish your relationship with this energy that creates worlds, and you have to flow it in the way that is comfortable to you, and you can't worry about how others see it happen. In the socialization of every society, there is the potential for confusion. And just think about the differences in societies. In other words, the politeness of your society, and really the opposite end of that stick in a lot of societies, and yet there isn't a right or a wrong in it. It's a little bit like, Esther likes sports analogies because she's enjoying sports so much. But she watches her basketball team, and she knows that there are rules that they play by. It's agreements, really. It's not universal force agreements. It's not even these things that we're talking about, even the law of attraction agreement. It's that if you step outside that line, that's a penalty. You got to stay on the court. And sometimes the stepping outside is so insignificant that it really shouldn't matter, but it does, because the agreement is such. So when you are born into a society, it's sort of like choosing to play in that ball game. You're choosing to have your personal expansion within the confines of the rules of that environment. But you don't have to give up your alignment in order to live that. In other words, you can be the way they're asking you to be, while in your own knowing, you know that you are totally pleasing yourself. And if you decided, if you're determined that all of your politeness and helpfulness is coming from you knowing for sure that you're on the upper half of the emotional scale, you won't get crosswise of yourself, and you won't offend any of them either. Almost everyone who finds themselves in a place that isn't working is doing it from the lower half of the scale. They're angry, or they're afraid, or they're guilty, or they're blameful. So there are a lot of people that are not tuned in, turned on. They're not tuned in, tapped in, turned on. They're not on the upper half of the scale, but they're performing in restriction of politics or societal rules, and they're miserable within them. They're polite, but they're miserable. Well, we think that you can be polite and joyful. And if you don't care about self, you can't be polite and joyful. And we don't think that the rules of your society say, be polite and miserable. We think they say, be polite. We think you still have choice in that. We don't think they're saying, have no regard for self whatsoever. We think they're saying, have regard for all self, which is the way your inner being is. You can't be really tuned into who you really are and not be helpful to everyone you come across. And that's got to be the ultimate human description of unselfishness. So maybe we can define selfishness for you. And you'll hear it because we've just accomplished it here together. The ultimate selfishness is being so aligned with Source, such a total self, that you are including all others in your regard for self. Your selfishness extends to everyone. You're selfish on behalf of all. Let's find a clever way of saying it. Don't repeat this to any of them. They won't understand. But what we're saying to you is the ultimate selfishness is to be completely selfish. The ultimate selfishness is to be completely selfish. But we want to add to it. The ultimate selflessness is to be completely selfish. Because until you're tuned into that, you can't feel that way about the others. Let's call selfishness alignment with love. That's what it is. I care so much. I care so much to be aligned with love. My care of self is so much about love and appreciation because I want to flow it to all others. We think they would like that if they knew that about you, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Good enough?
Thank you.
Really good. Really good.